Well, hey, knife community on YouTube. This is Grinder McGee back again with another knife video slash review. Now, this is about my 400th take on this opening because I'm not really sure what to say about this knife in all honesty, other than I wanted to make this video. I wanted to slice up some stuff in the kitchen. This is an awesome little utility knife named the Gerber Myth. It's about a 3 1/8 inch bladed knife with a 7 1/4 inch overall length. It only weighs 1.1 ounces. It has some very weird features that I wanted to cover, which is why I made this video. And then on some of the other takes, I just couldn't figure out what to say about it or what to compare it to. So I do have some other comparisons. Mostly it has to be compared with kitchen knives because of the features it has that you'll see on a survival or a tactical wilderness knife. It also has some features that you're only going to see on kitchen knives. 1.1 ounce weight. Look at how thin the blade is. I mean, I can't even measure how thin that is. Less than a 16th for sure. It's about as thin as your average paring knife. It's about the size of an average paring knife. So, what is up with this weird knife? The Gerber Myth. It has some features on it that just are tongue-in-cheek laughs all day for me, so I have brought it out to the kitchen to use it, to giggle about every time that I slice up an apple for my kitties with it. It has one of those things that you'll see so important in the survival community and the keyboard commandos on YouTube. It has a full tang. Now, if a full tang is important to you, please let me know in the comments at length, so that my next video can be me slashing my wrists with this knife to just end the conversation forever. On this knife, I don't think anybody can disagree. There is absolutely no purpose for having this full exposed tang on this knife. It's not exposed around the outside, but the full length exposed tang there. There's just no reason for it, other than to make me laugh in my kitchen. I guess they made this knife specifically for me. Of course, it's made by Gerber. How could you deny that? And it has another feature here, non-reflective coating on a freaking paring knife. How hilarious is that? It also has this dark earth black rubber duotone handle. Just makes it look so military when there's just no other reason other than just marketing. Here's the sheath, which has that same thing going on. It's got a total military look to it. I mean, this knife looks like it's for killing zombies or terrorists or something, but it just couldn't be further from that practical application of this blade. Here it has a little one of those carbide V sharpeners. Probably work pretty well for this thin little blade here. But it surprisingly doesn't have MOLLE attachments, which you'd think from the obvious look that they were going for here. It does have dual retention. I mean, who doesn't need that for a little paring knife? It could have just done just as well with a little plastic sleeve. But the total knife package comes in at under $20 on Amazon. And it's just a very interesting little knife. So I'm going to slice up some snacks for the kids for when they get home today, and just wanted to have you along for that, just because it was such an interesting thing today to be going through the knives to see what videos I can make. And I got a couple that I'm going to do. Decided I'm mostly going to do these kitchen videos for now, just to kind of show the practical application. Now, if you can slice an orange, you can probably slice some cardboard, so I'm not going to get into cardboard with this knife, but you can slice an orange. You can probably slice some cardboard with it. Here's how I do my oranges. The kids like them in slices, so they don't like them peeled for some reason. I think they like to bite them and, you know, have them on the front of their mouth when they smile, so it looks like they've got orange skin for teeth. You know, whatever. Let's talk about some knives, I guess. Not everybody's a parent out there. So here's how I slice up the oranges. Now, you'll notice how practical this knife is in this application, when you definitely think that just from the look of it, that it was for you know, military application. How could it be? How could it be for wilderness? Well, that's kind of my point with all these videos, is that a knife is a knife. A knife is for cutting. A knife is not for necessarily splitting wood. If I had to pick only one knife for splitting wood out in the wilderness, my knife would be an axe. I mean, we can keep going with that crap, and at the same time we can you know, we can go through all the cliches in the knife community. I don't care. I've heard them all. You know, please, please, spare me all that bullshit. And let's just see if we can get an honest conversation going on. So, of course, I'm cutting on top of my hand. Not really recommended. Please, guys, don't do that at home, especially if you're a keyboard commando. Please don't do that at home. You're definitely going to cut yourself playing with knives. You're going to end up cutting yourself anyway. Let's just hope it's not something debilitating that's going to take you out of the game for a long time. You know, I don't like a lot of dead air. Here we got some apples over here. Now, just for comparison, here's a little tactical knife that has nothing to do with tactical use. Let's go ahead and pull out something that's definitely for the wilderness survival and military community here. This is a Gerber Big Rock Hunter. This is a hunting knife, but it also kind of shares similarities with something like a pilot survival knife or something along those lines. It definitely falls in the category of under 5-inch survival knives. It has that full exposed tang all the way around the back with a somewhat crusher pommel. I don't know if it's marketed that way, but I actually like this knife. Look, it's got a very wide, it's very wide this way, which makes it quite comfortable in my hand, which is extra large, I think. And you know, there's not a lot of bullcrap sticking up around here. It's pretty flush. The jimping, you know, now that my hand has a little moisture on it, quite useless, just more for looks. But let's see just how this knife slices an orange in comparison. You're gonna be having a compromise here, but it does okay, you know. It does okay, and I'm just trying not to talk so much so I don't freaking stab my hand, because of the dumbass way I'm doing this orange here. And anybody who watches Rachel Ray out there, please tell me how she slices oranges. Is she still, you know, big or what? Is it still Martha Stewart? Oh, fuck, I don't know. So, even these tactical knives, this is why I wanted to make that video last week. That's why I'm making a video this week. I want to continue to make these videos of real knife use instead of whipping them through logs in the back country there, because that's just fucking pointless to me. So, you see, you can cut an orange with this knife. You don't need a paring knife. You don't need something that's so slender and slick. But at the same time, the weight, you know, the weight of this knife, I would say it's around 6 ounces or so, is making it not as nimble. It's definitely taken some extra effort to slice through there, but you could be pleasantly surprised at this extra wide blade. The almost full height flat grind makes it quite a pleasurable experience to do these kitchen tasks, but not so much as the Gerber over here. So let's keep going. Let's get a little apple here. Shwink. See, it's just, I don't know, it's just easier there. Let's try not to stab my hand and core out this apple. You know, when I was a kid, my parents had this awesome metal thing that had these, you know, cored the apple and cut it into sections. I think they still sell it at Walmart or whatever. But I don't have one of those because I have too much fun. You know, don't tell my family, of course, because they're in the internet knife community. Yeah, right. But I just have too much fun slicing up snacks, so I don't have one of those. In fact, I don't have a little egg slicer or any of that stuff because I just really like using knives to prepare snacks, stuff like that. So I do the apples the same way. I like to do thin slices, and I don't know. This is just the way that I figured how to slice apples into manageable sizes. I don't know. Does Emerald do it this way? But look at my Gerber Tactical Myth. The Gerber Myth dispels many of the myths of features that you would need in a survival knife. I mean, this knife can do it all. Look at that. Look at those thin slices. Here, let me get a little chef snack right here. So check it out, man. Let's try another knife real quick. Let's try that Cold Steel Braveheart that was out here. Freaking Scottish Shondu. Uh-oh. This one's not doing so fantastic. It has a very short cutting edge. Something I don't really like about this knife, like I said before. you know what? It's very point driven. Yeah, I can feel that the point is really digging into my cutting board a lot. So, you know, the slicing this being a straight bladed knife, we're not using, you know, the belly of the knife so much, whereas on this knife was aided by the belly out here towards the tip when it was slicing things. This knife here is going to be better with a longer edge for slicing, just because it's a straight knife and it doesn't have the rake or the curve assisting in that, so the point's dragging pretty heavily, although it does an okay, fine job. It wouldn't be my first choice. Yeah, look at this roach belly here. Let's do a little test with this. Much thicker, so much thicker than the Gerber Myth here. Check him out. Yeah, this one's probably closer to 1/8 of an inch, but look, it looks like a chintzy ass cheap Chinese made kitchen knife or something like that. Not a problem for me because I'm looking for practicality, you know, but this one definitely has more of a look, of a style, wouldn't you say? I mean, look, it's got an exposed tang. How big is the tang on this knife? I mean, what could be more important? How big is the tang? Who knows? You can't see it. It could be anything. Cold steel, why are you lying to us? You jerk-offs. Okay, let's use it real quick. But with the extra belly on this knife, we might get a better... Surprisingly, that one is not slicing so well. Look at that. I kind of got a bogus slice on that. Weird. Let's see if I can still use the tip. Surprisingly, we are approaching an unsafe... we're approaching the neighborhood of unsafe using this knife, because I am not having such a good time controlling it. I don't want to slice my hand on video, but if I do, I'll definitely leave it in there. Maybe it'll make my views go up. That would be pretty awesome. So maybe I'll slice my hand on purpose. I don't know. Like I said, if the tang thing is important to you, please leave it in the comments, and I'll slice my wrists. Maybe I'll slice a hobo. You guys want to see me freaking go out and forget cutting fruit, man? Nobody's into that. Like, you want to see me go kill some homeless people with a cold steel knife? I mean, that's kind of how they're marketed, isn't it? Let's just hang up some homeless people and fucking... I mean, if they're taking all that meat that they cut up on the proof videos and they're feeding homeless people, why don't we just go Soylent Green with some homeless people and just take some of these knives out to the streets and slice up some homeless people and then feed them to each other? I mean, it solves two problems with one right there. We reduce the number of homeless people, and we reduce the number of starving people. Soylent homeless, courtesy of Cold Steel. Okay, that's enough of the roach belly. Surprisingly, that knife does slice well, but due to the lower height of this hollow grind here, and it does have a hollow grind, a hollow saber grind on this trailing edge knife here with a high upsweep, it is surprisingly is not very good at slicing apples. I thought it would have done much better at that. When using these knives in comparison to each other, I found a lot more usefulness out of this knife. Very surprising. Here, well, shit, I don't know, guys. Was there any other comparisons that you wanted to see? We did this knife in comparison to other kitchen knives, some Cold Steel offerings. I could put it up against something like an Essie Izula, which, it has such an extra wider blade. Here, I have one sitting right here. We did it against another Gerber product, which is surprisingly well, thanks to a very high grind and extra wide blade. We could do it, use something like an Izula here, but I'm telling you right now, it's got a high friction coating on it. It's chopping this carrot up okay, but it's not really slicing well. It's got a relatively narrow blade profile. It does protect your finger rather well, but this is getting into that territory where it's like a miniature survival knife. So it's marketed in such a way, and it's also built in such a way as that it can hold up to some very severe abuse from people who are looking for that. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for mostly utility. So sorry for that. Anyway, there it is, the Gerber Myth. Guys, you're looking for a fun little in-joke to keep in your kitchen knife block? I believe this is it, and on Amazon.com it should be delivered to your door for under 20 bucks. You want to be tactical with your pairing in the kitchen? This is the way to go. Anyway, this is Grinder McGee saying keep your mind sharp, but your knife sharper. See you next time.